launching our Science Month is intended to inspire young people to pursue careers in science while deepening public appreciation of the everyday value of science. In fact, the success of science depends on the population's understanding of the importance and role of science in their everyday lives. As we have done in the past, and if practical, we would be honored to welcome some of your senior officials to our launch in South Africa. In line with the topic that I've been assigned to address, I would just like to reflect on several issues that are particularly relevant to an occasion of this nature. The first issue I wish to reflect on is science for sustainable development and science, technology, and innovation cooperation. As governments in the SADC region, we need to continually find ways of giving practical expression to the SADC Protocol on Science, Technology, and Innovation, as well as, of course, the African Union's Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa, which we call STISA 2034. This means we must consistently work at strengthening science, technology, and innovation cooperation. In practice, this means jointly developing evidence-based responses to some of the most urgent challenges facing our region, such as health crises, climate change, water scarcity, energy security, economic and infrastructure hurdles, governance and corruption, political instability and security, humanitarian crisis, the crisis of migration that we are having in the region, as well as addressing very urgent social challenges like gender-based violence in society, as well as youth unemployment. To achieve this, the governments in our region must, among others, deliberately develop what I call the foundational capabilities needed for the digital economy. Minister, you are lucky because you are responsible for science, technology, innovation, and the digital capabilities, including ICT. These include strong legislative and institutional frameworks. Chair of the Portfolio Committee, without strong legislative foundation, we won't be able to make enough progress. As well as research and development capacity that enables the continent to produce its own technological products and solutions. I feel strongly about this. You know, as a continent, some people say this is a disadvantage. That we have got a youthful population, as somebody said, is gold that we must mine and nurture and develop. The youth of the African continent are the youth of the future, not just for Africa, but for the whole world. If we empower African youth, they will be innovative, and they will be the driver of the future development of this world. That is why, if there is one message to you, Bantabanga, and sisesikoleni, asifuni nje ukuthi nisebenzise itechnology esiyithatha kwezinye indawo. We want you to be inventors of new technologies yourselves. As the African continent, we must not just be satisfied in being consumers of technology, but we must also be producers of technology. That's very important. That's why you are here. I must congratulate you, Minister. When you bring these ones at their age, we are making a huge investment. And I want to say, please, 10 years from now, even if I'm an old man, if I'm still alive, with a walking stick, invite me and say, that one there, that one there, that one there, was there when we launched the Science Week. Today they've become scientists. That's what we would like you to be. Also, what is important in achieving this? We need to develop our own independent capacity as the African continent. We work with Eswatini precisely because we believe whatever advantage we have, we must share with Eswatini, because we are not going to develop as an island as South Africa. We are part of a region and we are part of a continent. Now, what we need is to develop an independent African research and development agenda. We don't say we don't need donors, but our true friends amongst the donors are those who are supporting what we are coming up with as our own agenda and not use their donations to dictate what we must do, which in many instances is not Africa. So we would like to say our two countries, let's be champions for the development of an African research and development agenda, and therefore a science, technology, and innovation ecosystem for our own continent. We are not rejecting international partnerships. I don't want me to be misunderstood, but we are saying let's use those international partnerships to support our own agenda. As Africans, we are capable. By the way, we're also originators of science in this continent. We must never forget that. Secondly, related to the main theme of this occasion, we are living in an era in which digitalization, automation, and transformative technologies such as artificial intelligence are reshaping economies and societies in ways that would have been difficult to imagine just 50 years ago. Minister, we were in Dubai together, if I'm not mistaken, and always pushing me. When are you coming to Eswatini? I'm here now, Minister. You persuaded me, I'm here. But because it is important that as neighbors we become closer on matters of science, technology, and innovation. Remember, one of the speeches in Dubai was that 30 years from now, we won't recognize the world we would be in compared to where we are today. The way technologies are emerging, and we want to be the major contributors as the African continent to those new technologies. The UN estimates that nearly 2.7 billion people globally still lack access to the internet, risking social and economic exclusion. You don't have internet, you are left behind. We don't have these technologies, we are going to be left behind. One thing we must guard against is that we must never allow these new technologies to mark the beginning of recolonization of the African continent by us remaining behind. SADC countries and the rest of Africa must develop, this is another important matter, the necessary policy and institutional tools needed to respond effectively and sustainably to rapid digitalization. We need policies. We need a very strong policy framework. I like to talk to our parliamentarians. Ask us hard questions as ministers about policy that we are driving, but also you have to make a contribution as Parliament to this environment of policy development. This agency is underscored by recent projections from digital global institutions, such as the World Economic Forum, which notes, amongst other things, that the global digital economy is projected to reach approximately 28 trillion US dollars. Growing at an annual rate of around 9.5%, faster than the broader global economy. In Africa alone, the digital payments economy is expected to reach 1.5 trillion by 2030. And Africa must be a major beneficiary in this. If we are not to be left behind. Africa's digital economy is projected to contribute more than 700 billion US dollars to the continent's GDP by 2050. You will be the drivers then. You will be the drivers. I'm now talking to my favorites, the learners. And to your educators, by the way, who are also doing a great job. If I had my own way, Minister Mazia, teachers would be earning more than any other category of profession in the country. They take an empty head, which has got nothing, and fill it up to become Nzimande as I'm standing here today. Nobody else does that except the teachers. They lay the foundation that we need. Thirdly, as a country in South Africa, we have identified the digital economy as a critical enabler of both scientific advancement and industrialization. We have a small program, but which we hope to grow, for instance. We are taking containers. Everybody knows these containers. And we are converting them into computer labs. We call them media labs in South Africa. And giving it to primary schools. Because we don't want this thing that you only see a computer for the first time when you reach university. And when you hear people talking about a mouse, you run away thinking it's a rat, when actually it's a computer mouse. This plan seeks to accelerate South Africa's digital transformation, strengthen economic resilience, which you talk about in your theme, and expand inclusive opportunity. Now, digitization, we need digital infrastructure. We need a pipeline of digital and foundation skills. We need ethical and accountable data and AI governance, artificial intelligence. We need economic development. Now, to strengthen governance, as South Africa, we have adopted what we call a roadmap for the digital transformation of the South African government. Now, as government, we can't hope to be creating a policy environment, to be leading an effort to advance science and digitalization when our own government systems are primitive, remain primitive. We don't digitalize. We don't use artificial intelligence. As governments, we must also lead by example. But also it's a challenge to the private sector that let's work together. That's why I'm very glad, Minister, that we have invited the private sector. Let's work together to invest in science, technology, and innovation. Our Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation also support our countries. We've got government's digital master plan, which through, amongst others, wants to build foundational digital capabilities research platform. Without such a platform, we are not going to be able to advance, whether in terms of artificial intelligence or digitalization or science, technology, and innovation. The fundamental task that lies before us as public policymakers and other social partners is to answer the question, how best can we use science, technology, and innovation to transform the economic trajectory of our region and continent in a fundamental way over the next 10 to 20 years. We regard the Kingdom of Eswatini as an important partner in fulfilling this task, and wish to reaffirm our commitment to continue working with Eswatini's Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology in building a sovereign and robust regional science, technology and innovation ecosystem